What's up, everybody? This is Phil Rogacki.
And I'm Jared Abergina.
You're listening to Two Tree Guys Podcast. What's up, everybody? Phil Rogacki with another episode of 2TG. If you're listening in anywhere you are in the world, no matter what time it is, I appreciate you guys, appreciate the support, the love, all the text, emails, everything that comes over to us. It encourages us to do more and more. But what really encourages us to do more and more is when you guys pay the fee. And what that fee is when you share the show. Share it on your social media, share it to your mom, share it to your dad, friends, whoever you got. If you got something out of this show, if you appreciate it, if you learned something, if you laughed, all we ask is for you to share it, wherever it may be. Tag us in it too. We love seeing that. But for all the first-time listeners that are just tuned in because somebody else has paid the fee and shared it, we have a lot of different episodes on here. We have your What's Your Story? Everybody has a story, and you get to hear their story, how they got in the industry, mentors that directed them on their way and on their pathway in life, and sharing some wisdom. We have our training talk where we bring in and talk about comprehensive training and tips and techniques and what could work and what doesn't work out in the field that you guys are able to utilize and go out and try some different things. We have our full-length episodes, which is a 1 hour to 2 hour episode in our studio in California. And then we have our gear talk. And that's what we're going to be hearing today about from Clogger Phil Rogers. What's up?
Hey, how you?
A good friend of mine that's come out, was on our podcast in California. You guys can listen to that podcast with him and Clogger Pete. But today we're going to be talking about high-performance chaps, you know, and what is next in the future of chaps and the evolution of that. So appreciate you being on the show. But before we dive in, I want to talk about this little box you gave me here.
Yeah, it's a trainer.
What is this little box?
It's
Okay.
a trainer pack we put together. So I guess the key things from a trainer's perspective is a sample of the chainsaw fabric. So you can see there's little lines there, is Dyneema. You can sort of see how that goes. This is to just make it look cool. Trainers should look cool after all.
Nice.
Yeah. Then what are we going to go through? But then we got a QR code which brings. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm going to put the hat on for the show.
Nice. I should probably have something on my head too.
There we go. How does that look? Good?
Yeah, really good.
Okay. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you guys get to see me switch out the hats here.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
We got the
QR code takes you to our full resource page, so it's got a ton of stuff, standards, blog posts, how things about blog posts about heat and how to manage heat and chainsaw protection.
So what are we using this for?
You just scan it and then go to the website and you got all your resources in one place basically. So they're on a blog all over the place, but this is
so
one
anybody
page.
that's doing training, all of the training stuff, everything we need about the products, about chaps in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, but more just general principle stuff. Then the obviously the catalog. We got to indoctrinate you on the wonderful world of Clogger also.
Right. Let's see if we're in here.
I don't think you start actually. Embarrassingly, I can tape one in later. Maybe we can fix that.
Gosh, we're not even nothing. That's all right.
Yeah, but it does have a good guide, which is useful for trainers. As sort of a flow chart to show, if you go on the first page, there's a flow chart. That one.
Okay.
If you go through that, you can figure out which is the right pant or chap for you based on what you're doing and conditions.
That helps.
So that is helpful because you do, people ask, what should I get? What's the right thing? Should I be in chaps or pants, or and what kind of chaps and pants? And so that gives you a whole, sort of breakdown on
So we got the Spiders, Defender Pros, Tree Crew, Dyneema, Zeros, Embers.
Oh, denim. That's the denims.
Denim?
Yeah.
Denim.
Yeah.
Dyneema.
It's late in the day.
read.
It's all right.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
And then we got the best thing is
the New Zealand candy. Yep.
Yeah.
So
this is actually good. I thought it was going to taste like crap.
Yeah.
When I first got
It's not
it, 'cause
terrible.
I hate candy like this.
Yeah.
And I ate the whole bag.
Yeah. No, I've eaten a few of those.
So appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, yep.
From that. So let's dive in and talk about the high performance chaps.
Yeah, well, I guess I've been talking with people about. I mean, obviously we're known for our chainsaw pants, but we do. The company started as a chap manufacturer with forestry. So we know a lot about that too. And so in the US, though, obviously chaps are a much bigger category than other markets because most countries are moving more towards chainsaw pants just because of, it removes some of the variables about whether people are wearing it or not. Because so now I'm looking at the US market and starting to dig a little deeper and sort of see, just the culture around chaps. I mean, they are treated pretty much as a commodity, and so getting a $60 pair of chaps off Amazon of uncertain origin is probably fine. I mean, it passed, and it is fine. It's certified, and so it would, it is doing what it's supposed to do. But and then just as I dug into that further, so also think about purchasing practices, and so
so this is yourself studying the market.
Yeah, and
because you're the main rep for the United States.
In North America is
North America.
Yeah, it's a small area to cover.
Small area, man. You're here like every week.
Yeah, pretty much. It's been pretty intense. I'm definitely putting some miles on driving around the place. But so the good thing is I with a reasonably singular focus, I'm actually talking to a lot of people using these kind of products and different companies with different attitudes to them, and so it's got me thinking that I do need to totally start getting people, because I've had background in sales and probably broader talking to larger companies, and you start thinking about things instead of transactional costs like the $60 for the Amazon chaps. Looks good. But then you look the other way, looking at it as total cost of ownership. So how much does it actually cost you to keep your people in chaps for the year? And so if you're buying the $60 chaps, but they're only lasting 3 months, and and the buckles are breaking all the time, and so even when they're wearing them, it's probably a little bit up and down whether they're actually, maybe you're spending actually $240 on chaps, and then you're spending time doing that.
Have you guys done the research on that?
Well, that's the study. It's not really. I just want to. We're going to put together and putting together is a more of a process, because this isn't unique to this industry. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of PPE, whether gloves or anything, you can buy cheap, but you've got to kind of you got to look at the more sophisticated purchasers would say, what's the cost of ownership? Because there's also transactional costs. How long does it take to go get some extra ones? Do you have to get them shipped in? Do you have to distribute them? Is there some production downtime because someone hasn't got some chainsaw protection? All those sort of things. So there's you have to kind of each time do a little bit of a study to sort of see. The other thing, as I started, I've sort of been digging deeper into some of the science around just PPE in general, and some of the key factors that people are moving to, as it does appear that the world might be warming up a little bit, at least at times. So
you're wearing chaps every day.
Yeah, and so
why do you think that is? Why do you think they're warming up to it? Or you see them warming up?
Oh no, sorry, I meant the world is warming up.
Oh, just in general.
Yeah. If you're on board with that whole global warming thing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so then you start looking at. There's a lot of studies on what productivity you can lose from being too hot. Obviously, there's actual health risk with illness and all those sort of things. So you start working through that sort of stuff. Then you look at PPE itself. It started out as literally a protective layer, right? It doesn't matter what PPE, it's some form of protective layer. And so the only goal was that to make a protective layer. No one really cared about what it did to the user. They were protecting them, so they started with the basics.
Gotcha.
So as you get more sophisticated, you got to go, well, okay, maybe it needs to be breathable, maybe it needs to be flexible, maybe it needs to be, you start thinking of all the other things that would make it easy to use, because part of it, if something's really unpleasant to wear, people tend not to wear it when they should be, right? So
who developed the very first chainsaw pant?
I actually wouldn't. I'm not sure. I think Lincoln wouldn't know.
Who's the first person that came out with it?
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Interesting.
I think it was a long time ago. I mean, because we're currently in the wildland fire area. We developed a new chap for that area, and that design's been around at least 40 years, I think.
Okay.
It's been it's not. I don't think it's really new.
Okay.
But So I guess that's what So I guess as I've been digging into it, it's like there's cost ownership thing, and then it's actually, well, what are the all the elements they actually need for a high performance chap, something that people actually want to wear, which is something that no one would say,
that they want to wear and that they can afford.
Yeah, and they can afford. Yeah, well, it's the thing, because affordability is about, especially, this is more, I guess, at a company level, but even individually, if you buy a chap and it doesn't last very long, it's like anything, Well, it's almost like fast fashion, it's like, fast fashion, like the shop.
Oh,
fast fashion. So I probably should drink some water or something, but yeah. So that you can get $10 whatever's t-shirt, and you toss it away. So it almost starts to get into that environmental thing too. Is should we be trying to use stuff that lasts, stuff that will be around a while?
Because you guys are very environmental conscious.
Yeah, we do our best. Yeah, we're trying to get better all the time. We did move to...
This box is eco-friendly because we care about you and the environment. Please reuse or recycle me.
Yeah. We do our best. We got more... Well, everyone's got a long way to go.
Is that a Clogger thing, or is that a New Zealand kind of thing where they really push companies towards that way?
It's definitely us. I mean, but probably... I'm not sure whether New Zealand's better or worse than anywhere else, but but it's definitely... Yeah, we live in a pretty nice environment, and we don't want to destroy it.
Never been there. I heard it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, I think, but everyone lives in a pretty, and you don't really trash the environment, and even if it's getting shipped off to somewhere. But yeah, we got a long way to go on everything. But that is part of it. There is a footprint. And the more less that has to be reused, the longer stuff lasts, the better that is. So yeah, I guess that's what I've been trying to do is think about, well, how put those two things together and say, well, if you look at cost of ownership, and what does it cost you to be in a pair of chainsaw Chaps for a year? And then okay, if it's to figure that number and then figure out what you can afford based on longevity. And the other one that I'd love to do, and if anyone's out there, it doesn't have to be a big company, a couple of like crews that are doing similar work, maybe probably more like line clearance or something where it's pretty consistent, to actually look at production too and say, because I definitely, as I talk to people say Friday is always a little bit slower. In the hot weather, because you're cranking it. This world. This is not like breaking news to you. And then I always think, I just think about the human side of it too. You want people to be able to go home and play with their kids and not be totally wrecked from a day. It's a hard job. Why make it harder? Why torture people for $100 a year, kind of thing? So it's that sort of thing. So that's my thinking on what the future.
So what's the study? I mean, is this a study that's going to be put out by you?
I'm trying to find someone to actually. I've talked to a few people. I think I've got some people that'll because ideally line clearance is quite good because you've probably got a lot of work that's going to be. You can say the next 2 months these two crews will be doing some pretty similar work, and that way
you're going to take two crews side by side.
Yeah.
One wearing chainsaw pants, one wearing just the cheap Chaps?
No, one wearing our Chaps. We'll say with Chaps because it's comparable as we. Yeah. Because you kind of got to isolate the impact of the change. So the one change would be just the different Chaps. Because if you go to pants, it's a whole different world.
Gotcha.
So that, and then actually, I think that will probably show that all the other discussions are a rounding error, that your production will be better over a period, and that will make any saving for these $60 Amazon Chaps look pretty silly.
No, I get it. Yeah. It's in the long run, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. It just doesn't. Like I had Hikes was on here, and their boot's a little bit more costly than another boot.
Yeah.
But their thing was, this has been outperformed and outlasted by 60% of any other boot that's out there. So when you start doing the math of this boot, you're going to get 2 years out of it. This boot, you're getting 3 years out of it. This is actually the cheaper boot.
Yeah.
The one that's more expensive because it lasts longer. Yeah. So you have to look at all that stuff.
Yeah. Actually, I've been trying to buy some shoes lately. And the funniest thing one guy said, the most expensive shoe you ever buy is the one you never wear. So that could be something about Chaps as well.
So it lasts forever.
It lasts forever, yeah. But you never wear it, so.
True.
So, but it's that kind of thing. Is like, but I think ultimately production productivity that's where I think most operations people, and especially line clearance, but any tree company would be. That's when it gets much more interesting. And usually, I think when an owner sort of gets involved in the discussion, then they generally say, let's give them the better gear. So they can have a better day at work. I mean, there's an emotional part. So you can get all numbers orientated, and you got to do that. But the other part of doing the cost ownership thing is, what are the unmeasurable things? What are the qualitative things? Do some surveys. How did I feel at the end of the week, 1 out of 10, with this crew and the other crew, and see, and try to actually get that, because I've done this ROI sort of stuff in the past, and looking at this industry, it seems like that's probably something that needs to be done. And I mean, because part of the thing is, if you want better PPE, generally you're gonna have more expensive materials involved, and you probably got probably a bit more time thinking about the design. So it's that. So you probably have got a more expensive item. It's just not a, something that's quick going to be taken off a production line. So ultimately, I think the next generation high performance chaps, they will have a better a better attachment system. That's another key part of how it makes it work. That's what
like what?
Well, so a lot of the designs here have like a little don't have a strap at the ankle, so it means you got a floppy bit down the bottom that doesn't actually do anything. I mean, I often say don't do this, but you could actually remove that and turn them into capris, and it wouldn't make any difference on the protection because. And then if you have only a few straps, they might be easier to put on, you think, but then when you bend down, you get and especially because of the chaps, you're generally pretty inflexible. So what happens is it sort of pops out, and you end up with your thigh exposed. And that's not good. So a good attachment system would mean that they actually fit more like pants because you've got enough straps. It's a bit like NASCAR racing car drivers. I think they've got way better systems now, but the old days they had the 5 straps, right? There's a reason for that. You didn't have 3 because if you had a crash, you're gonna be bouncing all over the joint. So there is that. And then so these are some of the criteria, some of these studies I've been reading too. Like breathability is a really big one because without breathability, you don't get your body doesn't work as for cooling. So the moisture doesn't evaporate, just builds up under the chap. So, people, in the old days, the chainsaw fabric, you couldn't really wash. So that meant that basically they put a waterproof layer over top, which made them really stiff and zero breathability. And so that's, but these days, I mean, the high performance chaps, which we may have a few in our range, but they can be washed 50 times. So it's
what's when you say high performance?
I'm sort of putting the criteria together. So good attachment systems.
Okay, because high performance just sounds like a
generic
word that just makes it better than anybody else's. Because high performance. So what?
Well, I'm trying to differentiate it from the basic chaps, I guess. Yeah. So I know what you want to call it, but like the next generation, whatever you want.
Yeah, just more advanced and everything.
More advanced. Yeah. Well, improved. Let's just say improved.
Improved buckles, improved
breathability, flexibility, because you want it to actually fit to you. And if it's not flexible, it rubs. I mean, we're currently revolutionizing the wildland fire chap market with a whole range of chaps that meet these criteria. And one guy was telling me he gets blisters on his knees, like foot blisters on your knee, and he's out 16 hours a day working on a fire and dealing with that at the same time.
So what do you do with that information when you hear that?
I go, you need to move to flexible chaps.
Oh,
yeah, because it's
so he wasn't using yours.
No, that's not our stuff. No, this is what the horror stories I've been hearing. And people just deal with it. It's just like
that's all they know.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't last 40 years like that. So. Flexibility, obviously safety. You want to be a bit above the standard. You want to be right at the standard. So, that's an area that I think, you got to be, I know that's a hard thing because the standard's the standard, but you want to be above that. So that's something that, and so I think, they're probably the key ones that sort of come out of the discussion. Washability is really an important one too, because, that way the people, you can just wash them when you need to in a normal machine and not have to worry, not just leave them in the back of the truck to be beaten up and everything else.
So what's some advice you give a company who's looking to purchase? You're dealing with price online. It's hard, especially with a new company starting off. $60 is definitely different than $200 to $300. What kind of advice do you give a company that's looking for? Do we go cheap? Do we go expensive? What's the benefit? How does this work?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not $200-300. It's more like $180 for us.
180.
But there's a lot more. I mean, 3 times more. So, well, and the other one people bring up is too, when they hire people, they don't know they're going to stay, so they don't want to give them good gear straight away. So, I think my thing is to maybe try to segment your employee base a bit and say, well, who's using a chainsaw a lot? who's been here a while, look after them to start with. And it may be that you go to pants, but if you do think Chaps are more flexible, and there is good reasons to use Chaps. So,
are you assigning it to an individual person, or is it to a team that has the Chaps on the team?
Well, I think yeah. I mean, that would be I mean, normally I think probably a person when you get into these high end ones, and just have the lower end ones for people who are just starting. But it does seem like when people start, and this is just probably better than me, but when they get there, they get issued Chaps, a set of gear.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the common thing. But it also depends on what you want your company to stand for. And I guess if you're really tight in budget, you got to do what you got to do. But if you have it's not a lot of money more, to give people, of all the PPE, the Chaps are covering your whole legs. And they especially using a chainsaw a lot, they're going to be using a lot of the day. That would be the one area I'd say maybe you think about making a move up. So that's I guess the thing I would think of. But
when someone's getting started off, it's like you're traveling all over. You're seeing the best practices. Some big companies, small companies. What works, what doesn't work. Is it, hey, a new guy just starts tomorrow, we're going to start with the cheap Amazon ones for him. We don't know how long he's going to be with us. They're going to get destroyed when he shows. We upgrade him this. Then we go to pants. I mean, what's kind of the...
Well, some companies use all right, they've been there 3 months, so we're going to upgrade them. So it's part of the process. You get a kind of a trial period, and maybe the cheap pants get reused for the next cheap Chaps get reused for the next people, something like that. So there's ways of doing it. But ultimately, you want to get the most out of your people and give them one thing I do notice too is if you give people a decent pair of Chaps for the first time, they light up. I mean, it's like if you've been, and it's like it's super cool for me because I say, this is like, and if you we do trials and you put people in a pair of Chaps that are good, they don't want to go back. It's a huge difference, and I'm not sure people who don't do the work don't get it, but it's amazing. What a big difference it makes, and
they just didn't know. They
don't know. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. But maybe they don't anything different exists too, which is fair. Because it is a fairly consistent design approach that people are using and materials and things. But with the especially Wildland Fire is out with fire crews with trying our stuff, and they were like, my favorite thing is that I forgot I had the Chaps on. This is blowing. One guy said, "This is blowing my mind." I forgot. Oh, I've still got them on.
It's just comfortable. I don't want to take them off.
Exactly. So that sort of thing. So there is, I guess, part of the whole improved Chaps, high performance Chaps, what do you want to call it, is I guess people need to know they exist. I guess it's probably, and that's why I guess we're doing a bit of that too. And I hope I don't want to just be us. I want everyone to. I want everyone to. I want every manufacturer to take a look at what they're doing and say, can we do this better?
Do you guys create some type of alliance with all the manufacturers, and how do we get this out as one kind of unit to?
Well, no, we got a lot of it's sort of proprietary, like the chainsaw fabric and things.
Just the movement of getting people to wear Chaps.
Well, I think what happens is when we start getting progress, and then other people go, hold it, why are our orders dropping? And then they look at us. And that's what triggers them to innovate. It happened with the pants, so I think it'll happen with the Chaps too. We just need to get the word out far, and the sooner that happens, the better. Because, like I said, there is evidence. Well, I guess. This audience may be on either side of the fence on global warming, but there is some hot days out there, right? Whether you believe in and so that's and there is lots of studies that show productivity does drop with every degree, and I think they don't use temperature; it's the relative heat index. That's the one, which is a combination of temperature and humidity. Okay. So they are the ones that make a difference. So
where do you see the future in Chaps? I mean, where do you see it really going? Your honest opinion, and the years you've been doing this, where do you see it in the next few years or 10 years?
Well, I think it's going to take a while. It's a cultural change almost, and it'll take a long time. Not for the users. As soon as the users try them on, they'll go, please, anything I have to do, let's change. That's easy, but it's the getting through. That's the cost ownership and doing some of especially for the bigger companies on how to actually create the business case for it. That's the challenge right now. But
like seatbelts, I remember back in the day, I never wore a seatbelt because it was never pushed.
Yeah.
you know, and then all of a sudden now it's part of culture where I can't get in a car without putting a seatbelt on.
Yeah.
So I can see where the future holds, where eventually this is just a norm.
Yeah.
Everybody wears chaps because a lot of the world doing this work does not wear chaps.
Yes. No, there's that whole other part of the world that, and you know, you just Google chainsaw injury and have a look at a couple of images, and usually it sets you right. But a lot of people, a lot of people say, I have been doing this 20 years. It hasn't happen yet. So, but it may not, but whenever it did, it can be really bad. So
that's good. Any wisdom you want to share with anybody listening to this on chaps, just in general? Any wisdom, any motivation?
Well, I was trying to spread. That was my wisdom. I've already done that.
That was it. The whole show.
That was wisdom. Well, no, it's not wisdom. It's just like, as I've talked to people, I'm just thinking, how do you change this? Because it's so built in, and but the easiest way is to get people to wear the stuff, so we do that. But I'd like to speed that up. I'd like to encourage from that other people up in the game too, and trying to innovate as well and do more. I mean, this wildland fire thing, it's just blowing my mind. It feels like almost a holy mission. It's like
I seen you out there in Oregon. Into the art of falling timber.
Yep. No, I'm going to see one of his sessions up there, and but just being with the actual wildland firefighters, going, knowing that their lives are going to be a whole lot better, and everyone's. Well, it's not just anyone is wearing some really bad PPE, and you give them some good stuff that's like that makes their life better.
It's so cool, probably, to see that.
It is, like,
and thank you. What the hell?
Yes, I didn't know this. My life could be better.
Felt like this.
Yeah, exactly. No, so so that's been really. That's what I love about this job, actually. It's just because it's a constant theme. It's just like, and the more we get into some of these other industries, it's just becoming more and more, satisfying to see get the stuff done. Sometimes it takes a while. It was a lot of work because Lincoln worked on USFS to get them to change the rules. So
you working on what?
USFS, United States Forest Service.
Okay.
To show them that there was a better product out there. So they did change the Red Book this year to allow for anything that's certified to 1977, which is the wildland fire standard. But rather than have this very limited, pretty old spec. So that's a huge achievement for a small company in New Zealand.
When you come here, you're not just going to trade shows. You're meeting with companies. You're meeting with organizations.
Yeah, trainers, a lot of trainers. Because some of the SOAR program operators in the wildland fire area are key to the whole thing, because they run programs and those things. So
that's good.
But you guys, you're doing great work, and the more that we can help you, obviously we do a lot of that too. So.
Well, there you guys have it. Mr. Phil Rogers, friend of mine, always dropping truth bombs and wisdom, sharing to the world. If you guys haven't met this guy, you guys got to meet him. If you see him at a trade show, go shake his hand. Go let him know you listen to him on the Two Tree Guy podcast, that you appreciate him. Give him a hug. He loves hugs. Always asking for
that's
hugs.
up and down, but
for that. But appreciate you coming on the show. And
thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, and hopefully we can get a few more people into some improved chaps out in the world out there. So in the US, and
let's do it. Let's keep pushing it to everybody out there. Again, guys, if you guys got something out of this secure talk today on high performance chaps, please share it on your page. We appreciate it. Again, that's how the show goes. And till next time,
subscribe as well, right?
Subscribe, subscribe.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't always forget, like, subscribe, like, tag. Just help us build this up. Until next time, guys, continue to elevate the standard of the industry through safety, training, and innovation. See you guys. Bye.
Thanks a lot.